for episode 2 of the new season. Before I tear into my subjects this week, first, let us not forget what happened on that awful day 17 years ago this day. Let us all remember the first responders, all the people, all the police officers who perished on that tragic day. Let us not forget 9/11/2001. And secondly, I want to have a big hearty welcome to Marty Colgrove and the people at Coach's Diner. They are now on board as an associate sponsor. And I will tell you, go see Marty and the people there at Coach's Diner. You will not be sorry. Marty does a great thing there. He cooks some great food. And also, he has a discount for all first responders, all police officers, all veterans, and all senior citizens, 10%. And if you get a card, and I mean, after 10 meals, you get $3 off of your order. And also, I suggest his hotcakes, because they are the size of hubcaps. You will not go home on an empty stomach. Marty does a great job. And also, you'll be surprised at how much Yankee memorabilia. Yep, he's a fan of the Yankees. And don't mention the Mets nor the Red Sox at his place. Because the Red Sox, you'll be able to wipe your feet on the mat, if you know what I mean. And he also is a huge Giants fan. So my suggestion, go sit at the place there that's marked for Yogi Berra. Because you know supper is the best part of dinner. And you know what's the best part of a meal? The food. Alright, so that was a bad Yogiism. But go see Marty and the people at Coach's Diner. You will not be sorry. He's a great person. Thank you for coming on board. And now, I am going to start. First, the orange. Yes, it was nothing more than a glorified scrimmage. Yes, Wagner came up from Long Island, from Staten Island. And the thing is, for a while there was a little hiccup, but then the orange got rolling. And it just showed one thing. As far as Dungy's in the game, the orange offense is pretty much unstoppable. But DeVito, the other quarterback, he still needs some work. Because when he came in, albeit it was mop-up duty, the orange offense didn't really move. Although we have a good-looking running back with that Jarvian Howard. In case Strickland or Neal goes down, Howard looks to be like in the mold of Jerome Smith a few years ago. Big power back who can move. But you know, glorified scrimmage or not, a win's a win. But I am disappointed that it was the lowest opening day attendance in like 35 years. Only about 29,000 plus change showed up to the Dome. Come on, guys. That only makes us about 2/3 full, if you know what I mean. About 60%. Look, come on, this is the orange. Orange is the new fast. Dino Babers seems to have this team pointed in the right direction. But I am disappointed. And especially with what seems to be a vulnerable Florida State team coming to the Dome, it would be great to get behind this team. And I mean, Florida State does look vulnerable. They lost to Virginia Tech on opening day 24-3. And against a team that you might think was a cream puff, they had all that they could do to get past Samford, a FCS team out of Alabama. In fact, Samford led Florida State, and they were driving towards maybe potentially the winning touchdown when they threw a pick 6 to the Seminoles. Yeah, they just barely got past an FCS team. Imagine that. And of course, the state of football in Florida isn't at a good state. Miami losing to LSU, albeit they pummeled Savannah State 77-0. But I mean, Florida losing to Kentucky for the first time in 31 years. And of course, the Wildcats aren't known for having power on the gridiron. Although I will say, Mark Stoops does seem to have the Wildcats pointed in a direction. But you know, it's pretty low if Florida cannot beat Kentucky on the gridiron. But that's the thing. I mean, come on, guys. Let's get behind the orange. We're 2-0. If we can beat Florida State, which maybe looks possible, we can make some noise now in the AFC. And I mean noise by this. Well, I gotta work on that. I don't want to lose my voice. Well, you know what I mean. Let's get behind the orange. But you know, it's hard to get behind the Bills. Let's now bow our heads in sympathy. Yeah. Nate Peterman might have won the quarterback competition, and of course, A.J. McCarron was shipped off in a trade to the Raiders. But I mean, Peterman showed one thing. He can't handle a pro game. Boy, was that a performance worthy of eating some Limburger cheese and onions or what? It's enough that Limburger cheese stinks, onions make your bread stink, and everything stunk about the Bills against the Ravens. Oh boy. And of course, when Josh Allen came in, they already were behind 40-0. And Allen showed, even in his limited performance, he's better than Peterman. You gotta wonder, do you think maybe McDermott and Bean might do something? They might think, Paxton Lynch didn't get much of a chance with the Broncos. Maybe we could sign him and maybe relegate Peterman to, the scrap heap. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But you know, I believe Paxton Lynch does need another chance. He didn't get much of a chance with the Broncos. But I mean, Josh Allen, he may still be a little far from being a polished product. But now he seems like the best option for the Bills. But who can say that this is probably rebuilding year? 47-3. Oh man, my stomach's still on the fritz from that performance. Come on, Bills, we gotta get it in gear, especially with the Chargers coming into Orchard Park this Sunday. Let's shake this off. Let's maybe shake off Peterman. Let's welcome Nate Orchard to the Bills. Although hopefully he'll grow apples, because Adolphus Washington apparently couldn't make the grade. He can go back to making more beer, especially if his middle name was Bush, if you know what I mean. But shake it off, Bills. Shake off that awful performance. Oh, man. And I'm also going to talk about something that also was awful. Who saw what happened to Serena Williams in the U.S. Open final? Boy, everybody says there's a lot of sexism going on when it comes to the way the judges work in tennis. That was a prime example. I tell you, I've heard worse come out of players' mouths toward the judges. And I've seen vitriol come out in all my years. I'm still one who remembers the great tirades that Illy Nastasi and Jimmy Connors had in the late 70s. And of course, in the 80s, nobody can forget John McEnroe and all his tirades. And of course, McEnroe's temper is legendary. And the thing is, he didn't really get all the penalties that Williams got. Williams, they first thought her coach was giving her illegal signals. It didn't look to me like that. But then, calling her integrity into question, that was above and beyond by the judge. And then, of course, slamming down her racket. I've seen other players slamming down their racket, and they don't get penalized. She got penalized. And then when she confronts the judge, he awards a point to her opponent. That judge went a little too far, and I guess that judge in Williams has had a little bit of a history. So you might think, is there a little bias there? But it's not going to take away from her opponent, the first Japanese person to win a Grand Slam title. Congratulations to her, because she did outplay Williams. But they got to take a long, hard look and even McEnroe and Connors and Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King, giants of the sport, weighed in and said, hey, Serena deserved the benefit of the doubt. This judge has got to be, investigated, because you know what? Well, some of these judges, especially in the days of Connors and McEnroe, were definitely incompetent boobs. And I'm not talking a woman's body part, if you know what I mean. Last but not least, it just seems as though some schools have decided to go to 8-man football, not only in the Finger Lakes, but around New York State. That's the norm in the Midwest, especially with Nebraska and others, where there's not a lot of population for the schools. But participation in football is definitely on the wane in a lot of places, especially in the Finger Lakes. Even Marcus Whitman, a longtime opponent of the Miners Blue Devils, have gone to 8-man football, and it's left the Blue Devils scrambling. They had to get a team from all the way on the other side of Section 5 near Buffalo to come. They wanted to write them down before, but their pen broke. But of course, another team that the Blue Devils were supposed to play apparently dropped their football team altogether. Could this be the impetus for Miners in Waterloo to finally meet on the gridiron after all these years? Who knows? It's wishful thinking. But of course, the term of 8-man football has connotations to that, because they say the scores in 8-man football can be gargantuan. And I'm still one of the purists. Football should be played with 11 men, not 8 men. Of course, if you like indoor football, 8 men or 7 men is the norm. But we'll see what happens. Of course, some schools have had to merge, but let's hope this isn't the death of 11-man football here in the Finger Lakes. And that's all I have time for on this episode of Kenny's Two Pennies. See you next week, and hopefully there's no 8-man football.